My name's Andrea Florian. I run a medium-sized team, the Florian Realty Team. I started real estate in 2011. We built a team because we wanted to have one person's learning be everybody's learning and come together and be able to support each other and make things flow.
The systems, the procedures, it can be lonely to be a real estate agent, but you have to build it as a business. Super, super important.
How can you make it so that you're taking the best care possible of your clients and also preserving your own mental and physical health?
What is the key to your success?
Oh, there's so many layers to this question.
What are non-income generating activities that every realtor should drop? I'm Maude Léger, and I'm on a mission to empower realtors with cutting-edge insights, success story, and actionable strategies from the top minds in real estate. Welcome back to Sold Right Away. And in this episode series, we solve real estate marketing challenges in real time, unlocking modern marketing success for real estate industry. And that's why today I've brought on Andrea Florian from the Florian Realty Team. Andrea has been a realtor since 2011. She has tons of experience, has gone through challenges and opportunities. She did a lot of learning and is here to share her background with us. Although Andrea has been a realtor since 2011 and has a success story behind her so far and built a team with her, she also had a challenge she wanted to share with us. Hi, Andrea. It's great to see you today. Welcome to the Sold Right Away podcast. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Maude. It's great to see you too.
Thanks. So tell us a little bit more about you, who you are, how long you've been a realtor.
My name's Andrea Florian. I run a medium-sized team, the Florian Realty Team. We're with Remax. And I'm originally from Toronto, came to Burlington when we decided to start growing our family here.
Nice.
And I started real estate in 2011. And that came on the heels of me running a lot of other people's businesses for them. And after babies, kind of thinking, what was I going to do next? I was a musician in my prior career, and I knew that wasn't going to necessarily pay the bills at the time. And it wasn't really conducive to the type of music I was doing, was touring and traveling consistently. And it wasn't really conducive to family. So at that point, I'd had a few people say to me, get into real estate. That's what you should be doing. And at first I was a little bit leery, to be honest with you, because the idea of the evenings and the weekends and just that feeling like you always have a leash on you was daunting. But I decided to give it a go and take the courses anyway and do some learning. And once I got into it, my brain just soaked it up. I was like, this is so relevant. This is so important because this is people's homes. And this is like whether or not they can retire. This is whether or not they can afford to have some generational wealth. This is so much. And so in the first couple of years, I got a lot of joy out of just learning how the transactions worked. And over time, I've built a team. Part of the reason is because you can feel like a lone wolf in this industry, and it can be very daunting. And what people don't realize, and I didn't realize myself, was how much infrastructure you have to build. It's a business. It may not have actual bricks and mortar, but the business of it has a lot of time and energy that you have to put into it and systems, but it also has a lot of overhead financially that you have to invest into it. So it just didn't make sense to me having the solo agent. And so we built a team because we wanted to have a space where we didn't feel alone. We could support one another, have one person's learning be everybody's learning, and come together and be able to support each other and make things flow. Because Murphy's Law says nobody wants to buy a house for 5 months, but Andrew goes on vacation and 5 people want to buy a house. So how can you make it so that you're taking the best care possible of your clients and also preserving your own mental and physical health? Mm-hmm. The divorce rate's extremely high in real estate, and you can see why once you get into it. Mm-hmm. And I see a lot of realtors out there working really hard, but their health suffers. And yeah, so we're in a team structure here, and I'm really enjoying the team that we've built. It's medium, not huge, but it's big enough to do all the things we need to do.
Everything you need. And then you touch on very good points there. The systems, the procedures, how it can be lonely to be a real estate agent, but you have to build it as a business. Super, super important. I love that. Mm-hmm. And then since 2011, so you have lots of years like that you have practiced, and then you've seen all the different markets, buyer's market, seller's market, recession, like a little bit. I guess you were right after the recession, 2008, but still you've been through all those markets. So you have the experience behind you.
Absolutely. We have that experience, and then we've had the wins and the fails, and the fails we're learning too, and like where we've put our time and energy, where we've even just the emotional learning has been incredible for, I think, any small business owner needs to do the ego learning, the learning how to turn it off at the end of the night, the learning to not make your phone a leash, like all that stuff in the real estate is just double that because there are no set hours. The store doesn't close at 5 o'clock.
Nice. Yes.
You're trying to write clauses at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's crazy.
So true. So true. What was a defining moment for you, though, when you started real estate and you said, wow, this is it. I'm going to stay in real estate?
I feel because I'd been a musician all those years
Yeah.
and I had to work so hard to get this much result. And I've always been a workaholic and I've always been interested in entrepreneurship and watching people. I've always had if somebody wants to start a business, I've always been the first to be like, I'll give you an hour of my time. I have opinions. So I feel like it was something that I thought for, especially women after having babies and being like, what do I do now? Like, where do I put myself? Because I had to stop my career in order to have a family. And it's just biologically, that's how it goes. I feel like I found something that I was like, wow, I could be good at this. And I know I can take care of people and feel good about myself doing this. In that first year, there were a couple critical moments where people said to me in the first year, wow, had I done this differently, I would have lost a lot of money, or we wouldn't have bought here. We would have ended up selling again. And so it just dawned on me that I was a good listener and I was also sharp on my business skills. So I was able to hone in on what was important because there can be a lot of white noise in real estate. And I love going, wait a second, what are the Coles notes on this? This person is asking for this is their need and this is how I can solve it. And it may not be buying or selling. It may be like there's a different solution for you. But I was able to see those things clearly. And I felt like I was able to hear people and hear their fears. And it just clicked right away. And then within a year, Laura was originally working as an admin for me.
Yeah.
And she looked at it and she said, I think I could do this. And I feel like I would like working with you. And it was scary because we had a friendship as well. And you just never know how that will go. And it turned out to be the best collaborative relationship ever. And then slowly but surely we've brought on, I think we're at 6 people now, 5, 7. I don't even know.
Yeah.
And it's been a slow growth, but I really feel proud of each individual person on the team. And I think within the first year, I will say, even though it dawned on me that I loved what I was doing, the burnout came out fast because I'm a workaholic, and the realization that I would miss my entire children's lives if I didn't. Like I heard from people who said, my daughter will never become a realtor because she hates real estate. She hates what I do because I was never home for them. I was never there. And my phone is always at the dinner table, trying to learn those boundaries. And the only way to do that was to have a team where you could pass things off, because it's almost like shift work sometimes where you've just got to be on, right?
Yeah.
So at that moment, I almost quit, to be honest with you.
Oh, no.
I was like, okay, this isn't going to work. I'm dying. Like, this business sucks. It really will suck the life out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Completely. I was like, there's no way anybody could do this. And not only just for my own mental and physical health, but it just came to me that you can't serve people this way. This is not working. And so you could go for a cheap brokerage that's going to charge low commissions to me so I can make more money. But without the support of a really decent brokerage and without the support of a really decent team where you can really be in collaborative, equal partnership with those people on your team, you can offer service, but it's not going to be the kind of service that I want to offer to people when you're buying and selling a home, which is like your biggest transaction in the lot. This is people's retirement and everything. So at that point, we started slowly building the team.
Wow. Love it.
Yeah.
I remember those years too when Laura joined you. That's so funny. The stress of, can I do this? Yeah. Crazy.
There's a sense of responsibility. I remember us talking about this is because you run your own business and thinking, okay, I'm making a promise to these people on the team that there will be a certain amount of business for them too. So you feel like you're a mama bear with the people on your team. You want to make sure that you can provide for them. And you're trying to make sure that you have enough money to run the business, but that they're also able to take care of their families.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a commitment both ways.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
win. Yeah, it's the win for both you, the person you bring on the team, and the client you're both serving at the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Nice. You talked about being a musician and touring. What would you say that you brought to your real estate business in terms of skills that came from you being a musician? I'm interested in hearing that.
It's funny. I have no fear talking to anybody.
Oh.
I will talk to anyone. And I feel like my intuition from being able to sense an audience and knowing that it's time to pick up the pace and stop with the slow songs, or knowing that it's time to stop and pause and talk, or being able to roll with it. Like the power goes out and you've got to somehow keep playing. Like you got to figure out how to do things, right? And the vulnerability piece is really important too. And so I feel that I've been through that. I'm not scared of failure. I'm not scared to just speak honestly with people, because the kind of songwriting and musicianship that I gave to people on a stage was very vulnerable, authentic kind of songwriting music from the soul. So being able to address a large group of people and have confidence with that and be grounded in that. And at the same time, also being able to be very vulnerable and hear other people and have connection with people, I think is something that music brings to me. Yeah. So I feel like I really want to hear people. I really want to hear what they're, and also too, for me, the music thing is, it's interesting. Like music has its ups and downs. Like you would work so hard all the way up to a really important show that you were doing. And for 3 days you would be on a high and then it would be over. And you'd be like, now what do I do? And you have to get back to grounded level. And real estate is funny that way too, because you can have a flurry of like 10 listings all at once. And you're like, I'm on fire. And then you're like, okay, what do I do now? And so there's a lot of checking your ego in both. I feel like, especially when you're on stage doing what you love and feeling that connection with people in real estate, you feel like you've gained a new best friend because you're helping them through the biggest journey of their life, and then they're gone because they have to go live their lives and you're not part of their family. But definitely, I think also because music brought out all kinds of different people from different realms of life, I feel like when it comes to real estate, I just am so open-minded. It's ridiculous how open-minded I am. Like you don't know what somebody's story is and where they're coming from. And it's such a privilege to be a part of their story for a short little moment. And that's how I felt about music. For a moment, even though you wrote that song about your particular scenario, somebody else is connecting to it and learning and growing from it. So you can share that.
Nice. The connection between both industries is, so close when you think about it.
It's wild.
I'm fascinated to hear where background comes from and how it leads to real estate, because they're completely different industries, but they're not. Yeah. The skills you build are transferable, I would say.
Yeah. And it allows you to think, I think the artistic side of people, which we're starting to lose a lot more in schools, allows you to think outside of the box. Like I ran a medium-sized drugstore that was like half a health food store for several years before I went on to have a family. And even to that business, I felt like the music brought so much to it, because there was a creative side that most people were like, what's that all about? Why don't you just put product on the shelf and just move it? I'm like, what do we do this? And what do we, and the community-based stuff and the touch and feel of wanting to be with people, something that I've always wanted to bring back to it, because that's what feeds my soul. And that's what charges me back up to want to do more.
Yeah, I got it. That's so cool. That's so cool. Let's talk about, between all those years you've been in real estate to today, what would be challenges or one challenge that you have faced that taught you a valuable lesson in your business?
I would say not all business is mine to have, nor do I want all the business.
Ooh.
I want the business that's good for me. And where we spend our marketing dollars matters to me. So I used to get annoyed when I just was showing you all these postcards I receive, and I feel like that may work for some people, and if that's their business, it's great. But I have to feel good about where our money is going. And so I feel like when we do a lot of people are like, you're not running a charity, what are you doing? But I feel like if I'm going to want to meet people in the community, have a human connection with people, and not just be like, we did a transaction, see you later, that I want to do the tree planting events. I want to do the Earth Day cleanup events. I want to do the food drives. I want to make sure that we can spend money, bring a community together. And at the same time, that is our marketing. Yeah. And that's where we choose it. So the bench ads and the bus ads, we did all that. And I just felt like I was just throwing money at something. And I'm like, I could spend the same amount of money, but actually do something good at the same time.
Yeah.
How empowering is that?
Very.
And I just found the more we sat down and listened to ourselves and had some, like, the slow down to speed up conversation of, hold on a second. We don't need to be a rat in a wheel on this. We can actually do this our way. There's a million ways to do this. What makes us happy at the end of the day?
Yeah.
And actually turned into a kind of team building, and is attracting the kind of team players to our team that we want to work with too. And now the clients that are coming to us are like, we're not even interviewing anybody. We want to work with you because we like what you do in the community and what you give back.
Wow.
So the challenge with that is reminding people sometimes that, hi, we're in the community. We don't want to push people and get past the stigma of, oh, she's a realtor. Oh, goodness gracious, that woman's going to try to sell me a house. So how do we do those events while still being like, hey, we're real estate agents working and living in your community. We're here for the right reasons and just proving yourself. And that takes time. That's just a trust build.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We have the marketing section of the podcast where we should address this. I think that would be a good point to address.
Yes.
I'll keep that and then I'll get back to you on that. So,
definitely time management though.
I
and
know.
messaging.
Yeah. You want to do it all. How do you manage your time? Where do you put your efforts and all of that? Yeah, totally. Yeah. In terms of your business, before we get to marketing, what is the key to your success? We talk about community. Having purposeful marketing would be one of them. But what else would you feel like that's the key to my success?
Oh, there's so many layers to this question.
Yes.
I would say it's just like staying consistent and showing up and not falling into the pattern of we have to be everybody else.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Being the competition. Yeah. What everybody else is doing is just noise to you.
And mindset's everything. There's enough business to go around.
Yeah.
Like I said before, not everybody's going to be the right fit. So if you lose one, maybe it wasn't meant to be yours and somebody else might be able to help that person better, or it's just a better fit. Or maybe that client, I've had other realtors say to me afterwards, I lost a listing, and they'd be like, you didn't lose anything. You gained sanity. It was good. It was a good miss. Sometimes you're being looked after, right? Because clients have to trust us, but we also have to trust our clients. It's a relationship.
Yeah.
So to be a little more discerning has been definitely a learn.
Nice. Okay. I love it. I love it. What would be one impactful thing that you have implemented in your business that brought you success? We talked about processes, system. What would it be for you?
More consistency with social media for sure. And more consistency with what events we do on the regular instead of just being a ping pong ball over the place. And aligning the team and not just, I think, and this is still a growth that we're going through, but I see success in it already where it's not just a big farming team where we just bring in tons of people. It's a slow growth, but everybody's being empowered to have autonomy within the team. And I think that I'm already starting to see the turn on that, how people are bringing their own business to the business within the over umbrella of Florian Realty Team. But I think long term, the more we feed that, the more success there will be because everyone will succeed. It'll be a growth for everyone, not just the Florian team, right?
Yeah, for sure. What would be one thing that you learn that is your non-negotiable? Like it has to happen in your business. What would it be?
Oh my goodness. I don't even know where to begin. That is a really good question. That's an important question. The non-negotiable, it's actually taken away from my business. It's outside of my business. It's focusing on my health and taking time for me. It's the reverse because I was working so hard that, like I said, like my health was suffering, my mental health was suffering, my marriage was like we were just a team holding it together. But I'm like, what's the point in all this? The kids are going to grow up and go away. We haven't done stuff together. I think the making sure that I'm getting the exercise, the music, the time outside, and making sure that I implement those things within my life and making sure the team does that and time blocking that.
Yeah.
That's it. Is the time blocking to make sure that all things are satisfied and making sure that when I start saying things like, oh, I'm too busy for that, or I'm too busy to meditate, or I'm too busy to exercise is probably when I actually need it most. You know what they say, right? If you don't put the air mask on yourself first, you have nothing left to give. You cannot give from an empty cup. You can't pour from an empty cup. So that's the non-negotiable is self-care.
I love how your non-negotiable for your business is to make sure you're healthy, mentally, physically, emotionally, with your family. That's a real good non-negotiable. I love it.
And it's a hard one sometimes.
Yeah, I'm sure. I love too how you threw in some music in there. So even though you're no longer focusing on your music career, you still keep music in your life. How does that look like?
That was the funny thing. I really struggled with that because I was like, what am I doing music? I'm going to be 50 this year. And I was like, last ship has sailed. Good for you. You had your little neon and you had CDs and guitar in the back of your car and you traveled the world. Good for you. You had your time, right? And then during COVID, I just was like, I have all these songs I can't stop writing. And I've always had this little itch that's just been like, oh, you're not done. And you still have songs to write. And so I found myself in the studio. And a friend of mine kept pushing me. A couple friends kept saying, you need to do this more. And then a couple people started asking me to sing. And I was like, I thought you were asking me to sponsor you as a real estate agent for your event, but you're asking me to sing. I'm totally overwhelmed and scared, but I guess maybe I should do it then. So
Nice.
we did. And it was great. It was a really rewarding experience. And I got the bug back. And then I ended up recording. And my old friend, Lisa, who has her own studio and is very active in the music world, I was lucky to still have that connect from my days at York Fine Arts. And she was able to connect me with some really amazing musicians to help support the song. And so we ended up recording that, putting it out on Spotify, doing the whole photo shoot and everything. And I was thinking, I'm having a midlife crisis here. This is crazy. What am I doing? But I learned a lot that I actually ended up bringing back into real estate again.
Oh,
and yeah, it was amazing. Like even just the whole like self-worth conversation, like even just that whole make time for yourself, like even the whole, when I write songs, some of the stuff that came out, I would get all stressed out and I was like, look at what you wrote. Can you just calm down for a minute? You wrote that. Listen to yourself. We all know what our own little truths are inside of us. We all know it, like even as realtors, we know like when we walk into a house, if that person, we might not want to work with them. Like we have to start trusting our intuition. And I feel like the creative side has that intuition to it. Yeah. And I really realized that even if I never perform another live show again in my life, that playing music every day helps me to click in to who I am and helps me be better at everything I do, including real estate.
I love it. I love how your songwriting is advice to you for your mindset in your business.
Sometimes I just find I can get all wound up with real estate, but because music has been my thing, like some other people might love soccer or be visual artists or do something like just love to walk and read, whoever it is, but it helps them get into their zone. And in that zone, what's true and what's not. And so it just helps me connect to that. And then I can just get back and be focused. It just recharges my battery.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. That's so cool. All right. I guess we can dive into that marketing challenge discussion we started over there about how you want to almost, the way I understand it, separate yourself from the competition, number one, not do the same thing, like an innovate type thing, but keeping the integrity of who you want to attract. So we know your marketing, your branding is outstanding. Your branding is purposeful. You have that going. So now it's how would you redefine your target demographic and how do you attract them specifically using your branding? Is that a good read on?
I guess that's part of it. The social media as a whole, part of the conversation too, is how do you turn off and automate some things?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just don't want to be on that leash connected to social media all day long. Mm-hmm. And how do you keep things on brand but still authentic? And so we're constantly auditing our feed saying, wow, today it looks like a kid's like kind of collage, right? And okay, we need to put the branding back. We need to pull it back in a little bit, but not being scared of that because we want to be real.
Yeah.
We want to be not following the herd of just, oh, look, it looks like a pretty feed.
Yeah.
So it's pretty. Who are these people?
What's the purpose behind it?
Yeah.
No,
do I like how she talks? No, she doesn't resonate with me. Okay, video is great for that because somebody might be really annoyed by our voice or how we express ourselves and probably not going to want to work with us. Like they just, body language says a lot. So video allows that too.
Connect with you, to relate to you, or to at least get something out of watching your video or working with you, to be honest. Like the whole purpose at the end is to be able to sit at the kitchen table and hash out the details of what it's going to look like.
Yeah, and I think that's what we want to bring to the table more is the kitchen table conversations.
Yeah.
Is how do we not just be like, oh, look at me, I'm wearing designer shoes. And for some people, that's wonderful. They love it and they feed off that. And that was a clientele for that. And I'm not all against that. I like the pretty things. It's fun. But that's not our marketing niche. Our marketing niche is like, how can we help you? How can we support you? How can we talk about, and we're trying our best to, like, how can we talk about people feeling vulnerable about sharing their financing with us?
Yeah.
Or I have to sell because this happened, or somebody's ill, or I'm going through a bad divorce, or I'm trying to downsize and my husband passed away unexpectedly. Or we've had a few people in the last couple of years who a child got sick and somebody had to stop working. So they need to make a move to accommodate not having been able to work, or not, like, we need to make the perfect move. We need to be listening. We need to be on key. Yeah. And how do we attract those people that we know we can take such good care of and feel so much pride and joy out of knowing that we served them well, and knowing that we also saved them from the machine realtor who might not have been the right fit for them, who would have said, I can just put a sign on the lawn next week for you, which might not have been the answer, right?
Yeah. Having the integrity and the realness of your process.
That's what I think. We're losing the handshake of the old school realtor who would meet you in person, shake your hands. And we have all this technology that's so wonderful. DocuSign's amazing. But if you're 80 years old and you're getting DocuSign on your phone and trying to understand what you're signing, that's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And our market is the people who really, like, we can do the fast turn. That's easy. That's actually easier than any work we've done in the past. But the harder work, I think, and the more important work for us is understanding, oh, we only plan to be here for the next 5 years. How can we help support that? What are your next moves? How do we be a realtor for life so that we can help you make moves that when you go to downsize, even if you're not mortgage free, it won't matter because you plan to downsize over that mortgage eventually. But right now you're in the school district, just hold on to your house. Like, how do we educate people to understand that they might just need a fast turn realtor, or they might need a strategy, and make sure that they understand the value of what different people have to offer to the table.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So if you think about, you mentioned your social media that you re-audit often, which is amazing. Look what it looks like, review what the purpose behind it is. But what is your challenge really when you think about it with your social media strategy right now?
I think the challenge for us is there's a slow burn to what we do, because we're not just out to just grab 500 leads a year. That's not our game. And we're not about the funnel systems and all that stuff. That's not click here to see what, that's not us either. Mm-hmm. So trying to make sure that people remember you and that they do convert and call you for the value that you're offering out there. So our messaging, I would say that we're trying to get that message out there, but it's a bit loose. It's a bit inconsistent still. And so we probably need to put some systems in place.
Yeah, I would love to review a little bit that strategy with you. But I think if you were to take your demographic, who you actually want to work with, how can you define them? So what I would do is probably sit down and hash that out with your team. Who are the people we want to attract? Who are the people we work best with? What kind of people are listening to our advice? Like, you're an advice provider. So when you tell someone your wall has to be painted, if they listen to you, it's a client you want to have more of that are the same. If they don't listen to you, if they argue with you about staging, if they argue with you about this, I'm assuming they're going to argue with you about commission too. So how do you define the right clients that are who you really want to be working with? And who, usually I would ask to look at your past clients, your testimonials. Who are your raving fans? You can have like great clients that you loved working with. You can have raving fans who have raved about you, who are amazing. And you can also have promoters. Who are your promoters? Who are telling other people about you? Who are referring you? Like and then you start writing down characteristic. It could be adjectives of who they are: personality, bubbly, fun, positive. It could be where they work, what kind of industry they work. Are they business owner? Are they employees? At what level? In which area do they live? To what street? What school are their kids go to? So once you start defining all of that from your successes, because you have like, you're not a new agent, you're an agent that's been around for so many years, that you're able to go back and look at that. And then you will be able to create those personas of 1, 2, 3 types of people who are fitting that characteristic. And then it'll be easier for you to keep your social media on point to really address these people. So you'll take persona number 1, you'll name this person, and then you'll say, how do I talk with Mark? How do I talk with Julie? Like, how do I talk with these personas specifically? And then you can take that, write your whole marketing plan based on that, and your social media posting strategy based on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would give you the purpose you're looking for, that you're working towards, but you're just missing that one thing, how to get to it. Yeah. Yeah. How does that feel?
It feels like, what is that slow down, speed up? Sit
Yeah.
down, talk about, okay, you're doing the work, but it's amazing how often we get caught in the rat in the wheel. And okay, you're doing all the work. It's probably a lot of the pieces are there, but now pause for a minute. Take a look at all these things.
Yeah.
Take a minute. It's important to linger, to take a minute sometimes.
Because you're already there. I can hear what you're saying. You're saying things like, I don't want to do the bus ad and the bench ad. I want to do the community event. So that's already like filling a box for me of how you would define that persona from large to narrow. Like I always say, I've done an exercise in marketing in university, which was interesting. It was, if you were to address a specific demographic, you would start wide. So the world. And then you would narrow down. And how the process was narrowing down is how to get to Bessie the cow. Then it was the world, North America, animals, and then farm animals. And how do you narrow down to the one Bessie the cow? What was the process? And when you do it with animals, it's a lot simpler because it's easy, versus humans have so many characteristics, so many other variations. But the exercise teaches you to take everything from a large, wide view perspective to super narrow, to that one animal on that one specific farm and that whatever. So same with real estate, same with humans, but just, and then you end up with so many more because you're doing Mark, you're doing Julie, you're doing so many.
That's true. And there can be many levels to that too.
Yeah.
I love how you just did cows, real estate, and
humans. I know. Like the process of it is interesting. I love it. But yeah, Bessie the cow. So every time I do a marketing strategy, I think on the back of my head, how do I reach Bessie the cow? How do I get How do I get to that level of so narrow? And then what does she need, or what? Then you go with, what does Mark need? What does he need to hear from? Is he more numbers, guys? Is he more in emotions, guys? How do you get to that specifically? Because yeah, your personas are something that you have the skill to address because you've done it before.
Right.
You have the background, you have addressed the emotional, the numbers, the creative, the non-creative side, like all of these things, you have reached it. Then you just put it on your social media.
And off you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you feel about the clickbait on the social media, that with the funnel systems, click here for more? I just find it, I suffer with that. I can't.
For real estate, this works for so many industries, but it doesn't translate to all industries. Real estate is a long-term gain. You said it perfectly. It's not the get a lead, get a house and sell it. If somebody starts putting leads ads as a realtor and expect to have someone buying a house the next day, like, it doesn't work that way. It's a long nurturing game. It's like, how can you provide information? How can you reach these people? And how can you build trust with time? Nobody's going to come and see your ad for the first time and click. And maybe it will, but the return on your investment, if you have the mentality that it's long-term, you'll get a lot more out of it.
That's our feeling on it. But sometimes I just wonder what other people have to say about that, because maybe I'm out to lunch, but I can't do that.
In terms of marketing dollars, now that you mentioned that, it makes me think, I always think of it. If you have done a sale with a person that listened to your advice, that trusted what you had to say, that paid your full price commission that you feel you're valued at, that live in the type of area that you want to sell more in, and had you sold the type of house that was the type of house you want to sell, you're hitting the 3 points of your triangle. The type of people you want to sell to, the area in which they are, and the type of house you want to sell. Once you hit all 3 with one sell, I would say spend your marketing dollars on that. Do more than you usually do. Have a special marketing plan for those specific clients and houses. So that would mean do more, ask for a testimonial written, a video testimonial, spend the time to sit down with them, do a video interview, use that on your social media to attract more people like them. I don't know, you can do a case study, you can do a postcard to a neighborhood. You can do a video yourself about your experience, describing the process of how you work with that person. That way you're going to attract a lot more similar homeowners or sellers or buyers to work with that fit that demographic.
Agreed. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and then you can do ads. So now you go back to your ads, asking for leads. If you have all of that for one specific, you're even more precise on who you're targeting. So you'll have more results. And you can ask for leads at this point with all that marketing effort and to refer back to.
Yeah, because now it makes sense. Now it's resonating and aligning with what you are trying to put out there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's purposeful.
That's the whole thing, right? It just feels like you're throwing buckets of water at the ocean. Otherwise, it seems so wasteful when there's like so much more we could be doing with that money that would be creating so much more good in the world, even. So I struggle with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Take that buzz ad and then spend money on one client, and one success story. And the results you're going to see are going to be way more precise, way more valuable, way more like they'll feel good for you, and you're going to attract people like that.
Yeah. That works for me.
Yeah.
That sounds aligned with what we want to do.
High level, have a look, and then put a strategic plan together, and even, strategic plan for your whole social media strategy and a marketing plan for when you hit that person, that house, that area. Yeah, very cool. I do have if that's good for you, we can jump into the rapid fire question of.
Rapid fire. Here we go. I was not forewarned of this mode.
I know, but it's fun. You'll see. There's no rules other than it might be something I've already asked. We might have touched on it, but it's just quick question and answer.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do it.
So, number 1, what is your best marketing strategy?
Being me.
See, there you go. That will translate on your marketing plan next. Love it. What is your most effective social media platform?
Facebook.
Okay, interesting. Okay. What is your top income generating activity?
I'm struggling because that's shifted so much in the last 2 years with COVID and everything.
Okay.
So usually I would know right off the top of my hand. I would say local community events.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. You can do those during COVID. Now you're back doing those. It feels good. And when you have a good feeling energy, you're attracting more business. That's a given. What are non-income generating activities that every realtor should drop?
Flyers.
Love it. You have too many on your desk. That's why. The noise.
And it's not environmentally friendly.
Yeah, there you go. All your Clean the Earth event and environment event. Yeah, nice. How do you win more listings?
Honesty.
Love it. How do you build a strong network as a realtor?
Getting out of the office.
Okay, cool. What is a quote or a saying that keeps you motivated?
It is, It's actually not a quote. It's a book, the Four Agreements book. And it's the four agreements. It's the be impeccable, always do your best, never make assumptions, and don't take things personally.
Yeah, I remember
That
that.
changed. Those four every day.
Yes. Yes. I love it. Love it. Love it. I'm still in the assumptions. I assume all the time, but
Oh, the
still working
stories
on
we
that.
build. Yeah.
Yes. What's the best advice you've ever received?
Just because somebody's your friend doesn't mean that they will or should use you.
Love it. Love it. Should. I like that. Everyone has their own definition of success. How do you define success for yourself?
It's multi-layered. So it's not just the money and the team, it's the sense of satisfaction at the end of the day. It's being able to sleep at night knowing you did your best and knowing that tomorrow's a new day
The
and knowing
entire
that you still love going to work and,
nice. Yeah,
and that
love.
you're surrounded by people who are smarter than you and uplifting you as well. And that whatever you're passing down to people is you're also teaching and there's a cycle happening.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So much to that. I love it. If there's a piece of advice you could leave for all other realtors out there, what would it be?
Be true to yourself. Be who you are. Be authentic. There's somebody for everyone out there. There's different people who want to work with different systems in play and feed the other parts of you.
Yeah.
So that you can bring more to the table for yourself and for everyone. Keep it professional. Be impeccable so that we can all be impeccable together because there's a good community of realtors out there who really support one another.
Mm-hmm.
And when we focus on that, there's no such thing as competition. There's only support.
Love it. Love it. Being impeccable is huge, 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 huge. Love it. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Tell us, where do we find you and your team on Instagram and Facebook?
They're all under Florian Realty Team. So
Perfect.
FlorianRealtyTeam.ca is the website. And then the tag Florian Realty Team, or both of them are under Florian Realty Team. And for my music and all that, it's under the Andrea Florian.
Andrea Florian. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for sharing your challenge with us. I'm sure tons of realtors will get value out of it and everything you shared today.
Thanks, Maude. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for tuning in to Sold Right Away. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Ready to take your real estate career to the next level? Visit us at Sold Right Away for more resources and support. Until next time, keep closing and keep growing.